Okay, perfect. I think we can get started. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar on transforming your cloud storage business with Wasabi. My name is Akila, and I'm an Associate Product Marketing Manager here at Sherweb, and I'll be your moderator for today. Before we dive in, I'd like to cover a couple of housekeeping items. First, this session is being recorded, and you'll receive a link to the recording as well as the slides after the webinar. Second, we do have a Q&A window as well as a chat. Please feel free to drop your questions in there anytime during the presentation, and we'll address them during our Q&A session at the end of the webinar. And lastly, at the end of the webinar, there will be a short survey. We'd appreciate it if you could take a moment to complete it so that we can hear your feedback and thoughts on today's webinar. And with that, I'll hand it over to our presenters for today to introduce themselves.
Thank you. So I want to introduce myself and my partners in crime. So Guy Sauvé, I'm Product Director for Sherweb, responsible, among other things, of the Infrastructure as a Service portfolio. And we're very glad today to talk about one of the very important partners that we have as part of the portfolio, which is Wasabi. Want to extend first, Matt, if you could introduce yourself.
Sure, absolutely. It's nice to see all the attendees here today. My name is Matt Gianfrani. I'm a business development manager here at Sherweb, responsible for our continuity as well as some of our infrastructure and other product portfolios. I've been with the company for about 5 years now.
And Rob.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Robert Lowe. I'm the Senior Channel Account Manager for Canada with Wasabi Technologies. We are very excited about this partnership with Sherweb and are really looking forward to speaking with you today. Thank you.
Fantastic. So let's look at the agenda for today. At the next slide. Yes. So we'll talk about a few topics. I'll start with the market trends around object storage. We'll talk about Wasabi hot cloud storage. I like to say it's a hot cloud storage at almost the price of cold or cryogenic cloud storage. So extremely interesting in that from that point of view. How Sherweb and Wasabi are partnering to offer you, partner, a complete solution, and how to get started with both products and the partnership itself. So let's move on. Yes, so let's start about some of the key messages around object storage first, and I'll pivot to Wasabi. But first, let's just go back to basics about object storage. So we're all familiar, I believe, with the key different types of storage: file, block, and object. And as you may know, the modern platforms, they use really primarily two types of storage: the block and object storage. Block is very good for low latency and high IOPS, so it's ideal for databases, frequently accessed small files. Objects, by comparison, is cheaper, and it's designed to handle large static files like videos or backup at scale. Now, a lot of platform architectures out there, it's not a battle against one versus the other. It's really about using both where it makes sense. For instance, user data going to block storage while media files are stored in object storage. So that's kind of the basics. And obviously, when we talk about object storage, scalability becomes extremely important. It's growing very fast, and that has consequences regarding cost and regarding your capability to scale rapidly. And as you'll see in the next few slides, with Wasabi, we have a great answer in both counts. So let's move on. So you can see the numbers in this slide regarding CAGR. I really want to share a quick anecdote beyond those numbers. When we did business, we started doing business with Wasabi. Actually, this is not a new partnership. It's really something that's been going on for quite a while, actually many years. And we had purchased a very large allocation initially, prepaid, and we thought, well, this is going to last for quite some time. And we essentially forgot about it as things, the terabytes were adding to terabytes and was slowly, expanding. And we thought, well, we're going to go back to Wasabi and purchase another big blocks of multiple 100 terabytes, maybe in a number of years. And at some point, one of our engineers called us and said, look, we'll probably need to call back Wasabi because it is filling up. The capacity that we purchase is filling up. We're getting closer and closer to reach the full capacity. Our CAGR our own CAGR, because our market is different from the bigger market out there, but I'd say we're nearly double the amount of data that we stored in object storage, I'd say about for the past year. So it's closer probably to 100% in the market that we serve, the MSP and CSP market, versus the bigger market out there that might be a little more mature for enterprise. So that was just a quick story about really what's we're seeing is truly exponential growth. And we're buying now larger and larger blocks from Wasabi on behalf of our customers in order not to have to order every second week. That's how quickly it is growing currently. So we're obviously very, very pleased with the growth of that business. Next slide. So as I mentioned earlier, we're talking about new Greek words, zettabytes of data generated. And you can see, as I was mentioning earlier, object storage is primarily targeting a lot of those multimedia type video management, backup, and whatnot. Is a prime market for that. And yeah, so we're now talking zettabytes for sure. In our case, we're talking certainly petabytes for our own internal requirements and for the requirements of our customers. Typically, it goes from the low terabyte to multiple hundred terabytes. And again, that is growing. Every time we work with an object storage engagement, day one is very different from the picture a year later as things are growing very fast. So it's a phenomenal opportunity for our markets jointly with our partners. Next slide. So what's important, though, is also to contain that cost or make sure that it is profitable, right? Matt will review some of our engagements where we include object storage as part of a fixed price offering. So essentially, it's up to us at Sherweb to ensure that we control the consumption. In other cases, we're selling Wasabi to partners that are reselling to their own customers. So the customer has to be disciplined about growing. But what's important here is the unit price has to be low. And Wasabi has the lowest price that I know of for hot storage, but also it needs to be controlled price. You don't want to receive surprise bills at the end of the month. And that's Wasabi is also providing. I'll give you a simple example, egress fees. And Robert will be talking about that further. Sometimes you just don't control how much egress fees your end client may consume in a month. They may be pulling more files or less files, and the bill becomes unpredictable. With Wasabi, you don't have to worry about that. This is strictly about the consumption. You don't have egress fees. You don't have any other funny fees, admin fees, whatever it might be. You don't have that. So cost containment because of the low price point and no surprise fees. That's what's important for you, and I believe that's what Wasabi is providing, as we'll see later. Next slide. So as I mentioned, this is for us a new offering, but it's not a new relationship. So we've matured with Wasabi, but essentially we were consuming Wasabi for our own internal purposes and from some of our products where it was essentially Wasabi by Sherweb, where we use Wasabi for some type of offering that Matt will describe. What we're expanding today, what we're announcing is we're seeing a market demand for customers saying, I want Wasabi object storage. That's not something we were hearing very much, say, a couple of years ago. Now there's demand specifically from our customers for Wasabi. We want to respond to that demand. It can be a few terabytes. It can be several hundred terabytes. It doesn't matter. But yeah, we do see that demand now. We want to be responsive, and that's where we're introducing Wasabi on a resale basis. So this is, I think, the right point for me to pivot to Rob. And Rob will explain in more details what Wasabi how they can help you with your business with this partnership with Sherweb.
Thank you, Guy. It's great to have the opportunity to talk to everybody, as I mentioned earlier. I'm going to kind of go through an introduction on who Wasabi is and what our product is and how we help you to be able to deliver more to your customers. Some of it Guy covered, and I'll just go a little bit more in depth on some of the things that Guy talked about. But where I want to start is introducing you to who Wasabi is, because you may not know the company. And One of the things that I always talk about is the idea that you're looking to protect your client's data. And as equally important as it is to do backups and DR, it's important to know that the cloud company that you're going to be storing that data in is a reliable company that you can trust today, tomorrow, and 10 years from now. So first of all, who is Wasabi? As Guy mentioned, we're just low price, secure object storage. We are basically the same thing as AWS S3, Azure Blob, or Google Cloud, with three really important differences, which I will get to in a couple of minutes. We have multiple exabytes of storage worldwide. We have 15 storage regions around the world, including Canada. And it's important to note that we have a Canadian data center. So if your customers are asking for data sovereignty, we're able to provide that. We do not replicate that data outside of Canada and always maintain the sovereignty. In 2023, we grew 70% year over year on the fastest growing public cloud storage companies in the world. And Canada, over the last 2 years, has maintained a 190% year over year growth. We are the fastest growing region within Wasabi. And part of that is because of our successes and our partnership with Sherweb. Can we move on to the next slide, please? As I mentioned, we have 15 storage regions around the world. We have 4 in North America, 5 in Europe, 4 in the Far East. We will soon have 2 GovCloud in the US. So if you are selling into the government in the US, we'll be able to provide the requirements for that. Next, please. Now, I mentioned that we were the same thing as AWS, Azure, and Google, with 3 really important differences. And this is where we're going to talk about that. So first is price. And this is why we're growing at 190% clip rate in Canada. This is why people call us and talk to this. This is the starting point for us. You know, we are 80% less expensive than the other guys, which we'll call hyperscalers. Now, that sounds great. They're $1, we're 20 cents. But it's more than that. It's how you can save your clients' budgets. It's how you can help them to reallocate, repurpose dollars that they're spending in public cloud that can be used for other places. Maybe they have budget restrictions internally that they need to find funds for. Maybe you have another project that you're trying to do with them that they can't get funding for. Here's a way to be able to open up that funding if you could provide the same thing at 80% less. Now, we also mentioned that we have no egress and no API request fees, no additional fees. Now, what exactly is egress and API request? Probably most of you know, but I'll give you a quick analogy to give you an idea of what they are. Let's say that you just buy yourself a pizza. I love pizza, pepperoni pizza. I love my pepperoni pizza. Looking for something to eat at night, and you come home and you eat 3 slices. I can never eat the whole large pizza I buy, but I always buy the large because they're on sale. So I eat 3 pieces and then I put it in the fridge. Next day, I'm having lunch and I'm thinking to myself, what shall I have for lunch? Why not a slice of pizza? So I go in my new fridge that I just bought from LG, a nice stainless steel fridge, open it up, get my pizza slice, and I get a text from LG telling me I owe them $5 to take that pizza slice out of the fridge. That is egress fees. Anytime you want to take your data out of the cloud, anytime you want your data back or your customer's data back that was put up in that cloud, they're charging you to get it back. They're charging you to have that slice of pizza. We eliminate that. API request would be like you want to take that pizza now. There's only a couple slices left. You don't need to take all that space on that shelf in the fridge. So you move it to a different shelf on the fridge. I get a text from LG telling me I owe them $1 to move that slice of pizza in the fridge. That is API requests. Anytime you're looking to do any kind of command with your data, you want to move it, you want to get it, you want to put it somewhere, they are going to charge you. And these fees can add up to as much as 40 cents on every dollar a customer saves on their public cloud or spends on their public cloud. So not only are we lowering your price by 80%, we're pulling 40 cents out of every dollar out of the cost that they're spending on all these additional fees. And we make it predictable, which is point number 2. Transparent pricing. You know the price you pay at the beginning is the price you're going to pay through the life of the agreement. As Guy mentioned previously, you're not every month getting additional bills that you have to go to your customer and say, you owe me $5 because you had to recover data. It's simple. And this is the third point, simplicity. With our competitors, they have multiple tiers of data. We talk about, archive and glacier and subglacier and all these different kinds of cold storage. Every one of them has a different price. Every one of them has a different way of recovering. You need to have a math degree from MIT to understand how much you actually are paying for your public cloud and how you get it back. With Wasabi, it's all hot data. It's one single tier of storage. It's not complex. It is simple. You have enough complexity in your IT business you do with your customers every day. You don't need to add complexity with the cloud. Price, predictability, and simplicity are the differentiators for Wasabi. Next slide, please. Security and protection is a key component that we talk about with our customers every single day. This is one of the main things we're working with them. Now, as you'll note, all of the compliances that you're going to require from SOC 2 to ISO to HIPAA to GDPR or anything else we're able to meet. We have 4 nines of availability and 11 nines of data durability. We provide 256-bit encryption in flight and at rest and identity and access management, but it's more than that. Wasabi addresses our security with our data for our clients in a 3-stage method. Number 1 is multi-factor authentication. Now, this is pretty common. We all see this every day. You have to prove who you are before you can actually get into the data. Stage number 2 is immutability via object lock. Now, we all talk about immutability. This is what protects us from ransomware. This provides a logical air gap for the data so that if a bad guy gets into the data, they can't encrypt it, they can't ransom your data. We're protecting it. That we all talk about 3211. We want to make sure we offer that. Wasabi provides that through either Veeam or Acronis or directly in our cloud. So we're able to meet that. But there is a gap that comes with immutability that most people aren't aware of. And that is the fact that if a bad guy gets in and he cannot encrypt the data, he can't steal the data, he can't ransom that data because it's immutable, what he can do is he can delete the data. There's nothing to stop him from deleting the account or deleting the bucket itself. And that's where Wasabi introduced the 3rd stage of our security profile, which is multi-user authorization. Think of this as 3 keys in a missile silo, like Hunt for Red October. You can't set the bomb off unless all 3 people turn the key. In multi-user authorization, you will name 3 security contacts. If somebody intentionally or even inadvertently internally go to delete the bucket or the account, all 3 security users will receive an email requiring their authorization. If all 3 do not approve within 15 minutes, nothing happens to the data. It is fully protected. So the 3 levels that Wasabi provides for data protection ensures that your client data is always protected, always available, and cannot be deleted without authorization. Next slide, please. Wasabi is fully AWS S3 compatible. What this means is that any API that you're using, any identity access management, any feature compatibility that is being used in any S3 storage, such as Azure, AWS, or even on-prem, will be fully compatible 100% plug and play within Wasabi. You can be assured that if you're migrating from any other cloud to Wasabi, all of your tools will work at plug and play. Next slide, please. Wasabi provides 2 management tools to be able to manage the accounts and the data itself. Each account will have a Wasabi Management Console. This is how you manage the buckets. This is where you set immutability, versioning, object lock, all of those features. That is where you actually manage the buckets. For each MSP, they will leverage Wasabi Account Control Manager, which is available through Sherweb. That enables you to be able to centrally manage all of your accounts through a single pane of glass multi-tenant tool, managing billing, invoicing, provisioning data, trials, everything else. Next slide, please. As you'll see, This is how the Wasabi Account Control Manager works. You as the CSP are the parent account. All of your clients become sub-accounts or child accounts, and under them are all the buckets that they manage. It's a simple, easy way to manage your data and your customers.
So, Rob, a quick question for you there. Is there any limitations in terms of how many sub-accounts or clients in this case that an MSP can hold?
No.
So there's no notice period they have to give to you to add additional storage either. It's all just consume and consume.
Just consume and consume, exactly, yes.
Perfect.
Next slide, please. So with Wasabi, it provides a door, an entryway for you to be able to land with your customers and expand from there. We talk often about the fact that we're not asking your customers to spend money, we're asking them to save money. And you can start with backup. 70% of our business is backup, and then you grow from there. From there, you can start looking at cloud tiering or archiving, video surveillance management. If your clients are using any kind of video surveillance that has an on-prem camera, such as Digital Watchdog or Genetec, we make them cloud aware by providing a bottomless bucket of cloud storage without a bridge. Centralized cloud and Internet of Things and AI adoption. Your ability to be able to land with something that everybody's using, backup and DR, and be able to expand internally with your customers is unlimited with Wasabi. Next. I think that's it. I'm going to turn it over to Matt now. Thank you very much. If you have questions, I look forward to them after.
Perfect. Thanks, Rob. That's awesome. I really like how you guys have everything centrally managed. That's something that with some traditional vendors, they don't have the nice, sleek, simple to use UI. And I want to continue on simplicity a little bit and on that topic. So if we can jump to the next slide there, I want to talk about the simplicity of how to actually get started with Wasabi at Sherweb. So first of all, I'm going to touch on the pre-sales assistance in a minute. But for our partners inside of our Cumulus portal, we have a one-step activation of Wasabi. There is a tab inside of Cumulus called the Vendors tab. You'll be able to click on a Setup button, fill out just a few pieces of information, your name, your email address, your company name, and you'll be immediately granted access to the Wasabi Account Control Manager, which is that MSP level portal that Rob was just talking about. With one simple step, you now have full access to the portal. You can then begin provisioning your sub-accounts and then start onboarding the data. Now, we understand that in some cases, you need to learn a little bit more about how to position Wasabi. So that's what we can also offer through your account managers and through our sales team is we have unlimited pre-sales assistance available to our customers. If you need help understanding how Wasabi can fit in with one of your current solutions, how to implement it, how to quote it, how to price it, that assistance is available. If we jump to the next slide, I want to talk a little bit about two of the use cases that Rob mentioned that we're seeing a lot of people start to move towards. There's two backup vendors that we sell. These are just two of the several, Veeam and Acronis. What's really interesting is that Wasabi can be used as a direct storage endpoint for these solutions. So with Veeam version 12, which is the release that they had last year, you can send your data directly from server to Wasabi with a very simple configuration. The configuration with Acronis also really simple. You'll see that simplicity really is the trend across all these integrations. With Veeam, there's no additional license fee to be able to use Wasabi as an endpoint. With Acronis, you just have to have a workload license and you'll be able to send your data directly to Wasabi as well. And with Wasabi's security and compliance in there, the ability to make your storage fully immutable, you're now able to ensure and understand that your data isn't going anywhere except from your device to Wasabi. I think if we jump to the next slide, and then we're going to get into some Q&A and some roundtable here. I want to just say, what are the next steps? If you want to take this for a test drive, if you want to learn more, you want to have a demonstration of the product, reach out to your partner account manager or reach out to us at partners@sherweb.com. We're more than happy to set something up, walk you through the platform, walk you through our pricing model, walk you through all the benefits of the platform, and then help you out from there. Back to Akila.
Perfect. Thanks a lot, Guy, Rob, and Matt, for your insights today. We'll now open the floor for any questions that you guys in the audience might have for our speakers. Feel free to submit it through the chat or through the Q&A window, and our presenters will help to answer them. And I think we have a question. So question is, currently hosted server backup in Performance Cloud is handled via Veeam, which requires purchasing additional backup storage if you want to have more restore points. Can Performance Cloud servers Veeam backup be migrated to Wasabi instead?
That's a great question. So I'm actually going to let Guy take a little bit of portion there, but I want to say that it really just depends on the integration and the implementation. The Performance Cloud, which is Sherweb's VMware platform, does use a Veeam backend. In theory, is possible to integrate with Wasabi, but I'm not sure if that would apply specifically on that product. So I'll pass that back to Guy.
Yeah, that's a good point, Matt. So as far as the integration, so you can see Wasabi as something that we sell directly to our clients. So they'll be invoiced with Wasabi, namely on their bill, or something that we use as a technology and enabler for some services, such as backup. And we don't necessarily mention it's backup by Wasabi, but that's, might be the engine powering those backups. So yeah, so recently we've introduced more flexibility for customers that wanted to have their backup through a different formula. And the short answer is yes, we can entertain conversations. Just reach out to your account manager or Matt or the folks that are usually helping you with your Performance Cloud business. And absolutely, that's something we can entertain.
Perfect. Another question we got is, I'm already a Wasabi user. Can that be integrated into the Cumulus dashboard?
So already a Wasabi customer, can we bring that in from internally? So I'm going to let Rob handle that one. The answer in short is we're working on it.
Yes. Yes. If you're presently a Wasabi customer, you wish to move onto Sherweb, we can migrate your buckets over to a Sherweb account.
Perfect. So I guess the next steps on that for that person asked a question, reach out to your account manager and let's have a conversation.
Awesome. We got another question. What type of disks is the data stored on? Also, is the data encrypted in flight or just when it's at rest?
The inner data centers, they're hosted on spinning disks on servers. There are 3 copies maintained at all time in our data centers in 3 different distinct sections of the data center. It is encrypted 256-bit both at rest and in flight.
Perfect. Is there a limited NFR available that we could use for testing API and usage case scenarios?
We decided to keep things simple because the price is so cheap that it's almost, non-material. So we can certainly entertain some kind of credit if customers want to try that. But if you look at the prices, we're talking, especially for an NFR, if you're only consuming a few terabytes, it's very, very low price. So we decided not to formalize an NFR.
Perfect. Do you offer an option to seed load from a USB drive for large amounts of backup data?
We do have a tool that we can migrate data using what's called the Wasabi Ball. It is basically a JBOD disk and appliance that we would send to you. You would seed that, send it to us, and we would use that to seed the drive. There is a cost for that. You talk to your Sherweb account manager, he will be able to arrange that for you.
Awesome. We still have our experts on call for a while, so if you have any more questions, feel free to pop them in the chat or the Q&A window, and we'll be sure to get to them.
While we're waiting for one more to pop in, I'm going to ask one to Guy. When you mentioned the scale and the growth that we've had from essentially signing our first contract with Wasabi through to many contracts, did you ever think that we would end up going from terabytes to petabytes of storage in such a short time?
Never. That was a complete surprise to me when, because we're obviously monitoring capacity dynamically for the overall purchases that we do on behalf of all of our clients, and we need to obviously to keep that up to date. And we have thresholds, so they essentially capacity management. Initially, when we looked at our projections, we were thinking we won't have to worry about it for quite a while because we bought a massive capacity. I believe, Rob, correct me if I'm wrong here, we were your biggest customer. Like, this was the biggest purchase in the history of Wasabi when Sherweb came in Canada at that time.
Correct.
So it was like, as I said, the magic of exponential growth is that it surprises you how quickly you pass the threshold. So it's a very, very fast growing portfolio for us currently.
If I could just tag something on that, one of the truths about this business is that data always grows, and this is where opportunities come with customers that are looking to be able to save money and reallocate budgets. They may have gone on to Azure 4 years ago because they had 50 terabytes and it only cost them X number of dollars and they didn't think it was much. Well, before they knew it, they had 200 and 300 terabytes and it's costing them tens of thousands of dollars a month now suddenly for the public cloud, and they're looking for alternatives. And this is where Sherweb can step in and help you out, and the customers are looking for this. And this is why we're seeing the amazing growth that we've seen both with Sherweb and Wasabi as a whole in Canada.
We did have one question come in. Is the back-end hardware shared for each MSP, or is the hardware shared? And if so, how do you keep your customers from stepping on each other?
So we're a public cloud, and we have our data centers in multiple servers and multiple racks of servers. We separate out the customers through the use of tools like Wacom or the Wasabi Management Council. So from the point of the account, it's separated out through the software.
Awesome. We have another question. Does this technology allow for local on-site storage device, example external USB, to be integrated to enable fast restoration of larger files rather than waiting to download a copy if the backup data is in the cloud?
So like a local cache?
That way?
Well, let me venture. We can come up with a solution, but Wasabi per se is cloud storage, correct? But we have some PC architectures where we do have local storage combined with Wasabi storage. Generally, if there's a disaster recovery or an incident of that nature, the recent data is what matters, right? While for, let's say, regulatory purposes, you might need to pull out a file that was created 5 years ago because there might be concerns about like government audits or things like that. But usually speed of recovery latency is not as important. So this is where Sherweb can help, is by mixing a local infrastructure, especially if you're a performance cloud customer or Azure for that matter, with a more long-term storage with Wasabi. In the case, the example that I'm familiar with is we drew the line, I believe, at 30 or 90 days, local up to that point, and then to Wasabi. We take care of the movement of data so the client doesn't have to worry about it. And overall, your cost, your average cost goes down if you compare, let's say, to 100% local storage, which can be quite expensive.
And when it comes to some of the backup software that we sell as well that can integrate with Wasabi, like Veeam and Acronis, you can always have local storage in play as well. So I know some customers that will do very similarly to what Guy said. They'll take local backups so that you can do those immediate restores, and then your long-term off to an object storage.
A very good question so far. Mm-hmm.
Next question: excluding Veeam and Acronis, how do you transfer data to Wasabi?
Yeah, so any S3 connector that you would have would be able to transfer data up into the Wasabi cloud. We do have a product called Wasabi Explorer, which is basically a file mover. It sets Wasabi as a drive for you, and you can move files up using that. There are a variety of other technology alliance partners tools that you can leverage to be able to move data from a local repository up into Wasabi. again, your Sherweb account manager can help you with that.
And not so much a question, but more so a comment from Tracy. She has been using Beam with Wasabi object storage for 2 years now, and it's been working great, and she highly recommends it.
That's awesome to hear. That's awesome to hear. Those integrations with the backup software are extremely popular. And then the ability to move your data in and out using any S3 compatible tool, as Rob just mentioned, these are massive game changers. You're not locked into a specific tunnel in an onboarding route or usage route with this product. So it plug and plays almost everywhere. I'll give a great example as well. I had a customer on a sales call with us for Wasabi, and they specifically said, hey, does this specific brand of NAS integrate with Wasabi? And I didn't know off the top of my head. And I went into Wasabi's knowledge base and I saw an A to Z list of all the integrations that they support. And it's massive. So you might be using a system that is already natively compatible and just not know it yet.
Yeah, to support that, my experience from the product management side of the house in Sherweb is I could call Wasabi something like it just works. It's extremely easy at all level, technical, commercial, and whatnot. It's been a very, very pleasant experience for us for all these months and years now working with Wasabi, and our clients recognize also the ease of doing business and the value of the product. Do we have more questions?
I think that's it now. Again, if you guys have any questions, feel free to pop them in the Q&A window. You can also reach out to your account manager or sales representative, and they can also get you in contact with the right people to help answer your questions or even do a short demo for you as well.
Well, if there are no further questions, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so I wish to thank the participants. Looks like we had a nice crowd today. Thanks also for the very good questions. Always more pleasant for people presenting when there's insightful questions. And thanks to our presenters and to you, Aquila, for coordinating this session. I wish everybody a nice day. And please call us for more Wasabi business. We'll be pleased to help you and support you in their journey.
Awesome. And just a reminder that there is a short survey that will pop up for you after the webinar concludes. We'd appreciate if you could just take a few moments to complete it and provide your feedback on today's webinar. Thank you all for attending again, and have a wonderful rest of your day. And we look forward to seeing you at our next webinar.